Martin, glad to see you again. Do you know that this is our 13th coffee ice cream session?
Really? That's rather alarming, because if we understand root cause and health and cholesterol and sugar, actually I've enjoyed them though.
So, when you mention alarms, it's a great suggestion. Thank you. Let's talk about alarms.
Sure, you're right. Yeah, setting alarms is a good topic. How would you decide on what's good and what's bad when it comes to setting an alarm? I mean, where do you position those alarms?
Well, same as everything else, based on data. As I always, this is my universal answer to anything.
There's a lot of talk about baseline numbers, and for example, 8 decibels requires some lubrication, 12 decibels might be minor damage, and so on. And in fact, as I jokingly say, when you get to sort of above 32 decibels, you probably shouldn't be listening at the headphones there. You should be running as fast as possible because the bearing's about to fail.
Yeah, you should be there. So yeah, of course, there are some guidelines and recommendations, but honestly, that they should be taken exactly as the name says, not as hard facts, because they're simply not, or just recommendations.
Okay, so what are facts then?
The facts are in your data. So the first, it's you start with what is often called a baseline, because if you say +8, +16, +24 over the baseline, so that's one misconception. What is a baseline? So first of all, it's not a number, as some people like to show it, because it simply cannot be a number. The chance that we will arrive at the same value at the end of each grease replenishment process is close to zero. It can happen, but only by chance, but not to be expected. So so-called baseline is more like a based area, not a number. So once we take it as an area, that alarms will look much more logical. So there's no chance we will end up with same number, because it's simply wrong, and it will confuse users, and it set up completely wrong expectations. On top of them, the base area can and will change under certain conditions. You cannot expect the bearing to have the same baseline to entire operating life. It's simply not realistic. However, it's a really nice marketing story.
Sure. I mean, to take your analogy, then it's a bit like a fingerprint. Everything's unique, and it starts as an identifier.
Exactly.
So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Base area. Where do we go from there?
So the next question is alarm level. How much? Plus how much? That's a critical question. So that's a usual question, and again, a source of a lot of confusion. It can be +8, +16, 24, or why not +6, +12, +18? There are different recommendations out there, and they might be helpful the first time you replenish grease and you want to start from somewhere, you want to build your program, but those numbers are not the rule, at least in my opinion. So because +4, +8, +12 can be as good, or any other number. So the question, I will answer your question with a question, is what is data telling us, just like always? What is the difference between good and bad? What if that difference is +4 dB microvolt and you are waiting for 8? That can be quite a problem. So blindly following something, as you once said, is wrong. So we shouldn't be blindly following. So our own data is telling us the difference between good and bad. And of course, I want alarm on bad. If bad is +3, let it be +3. Why not?
Okay. So private alarms?
Yes, excellent word. Private alarms. Your own private alarm on your own private asset.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we just come back to the medical analogy, my body weight for my height, I'm under tall as opposed to overweight. But yeah, and that's why there's a lot of discussion about things like body mass index is being not really meaningful, because it gives rise to concerns where none actually exist, and vice versa. And it's the same with, say, setting alarms in cleanliness, that actually we want to achieve reliability. How much do we want to achieve that reliability? That really sets the alarm. How much reliability do you actually want? rather than the manufacturer says, the rules say. It's all about actually you go with gut instinct, as it were.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. That's a great analogy. Cleanliness is probably the best example, much better than I gave. But how do we end up in medical condition comparisons every time?
Because too much ice cream, too much coffee. It seems that food grade grease would be a great refreshment in our diet.
Okay, speaking of that, there should be some jogging and running around done this week, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Watch me.
So you'll be back in a week for next session?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great.
Okay. Martin, see you next Monday.
Great. See you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.